Hello, everyone. Welcome back to True Crime Stories. Today, I'm going to be chatting about the how murderer Courtney Clenney killed her boyfriend Christian Obumseli. So, I came across this one. It made national news a while back, and I'm just now getting to the story just now because I wanted everything to be uploaded, the court cases, all that stuff, so I can show you all. So now most of the stuff is now on and on YouTube to where I can show you all. Like they have her interrogation, they have the courtroom, they have all of this stuff. They have the parents, everything. And I think mostly what people was upset about was that this this white woman murdered a black man. She claims it was self-defense, but how is it self-defense if she was doing the hitting, she was doing the stabbing, she was doing the smacking, she was doing the punching. So she, and from previous videos that I watched, she has always been the aggressor. And even from interviews from their close friends, she has always been the aggressive one and he wasn't. So what I was mostly upset about is like after she murdered this man, they didn't arrest her. Like she flew away to a different state. How is that possible? She should have been arrested right on the spot. But no, she had a chance to still go to a different state. That's not right. She murdered someone. So, anyway, we're going to watch the interrogation because I want to watch it too. I haven't watched it yet, but that's Courtney and that's Sally. And that's Christian Obumseli. So we're gonna watch the full interrogation. I think this one's 4 hours long, but we're not gonna watch all 4 hours of it. If you would like to watch the full 4 hours, you can go to Law and Crime Network. I've already subscribed, but you can subscribe as well. And we're gonna watch this interrogation.
I'm assuming I'm the blue chair.
Yes, please. Just do this for me so I can sit down.
Is there like a paper towel or tissue or anything?
Yeah, okay.
I've been crying a lot. Thank you.
She definitely should have had some shoes on. I don't see why she didn't have any shoes on. Whatever. Or any clothes on.
Complaint is divided if they still have visual, do we still have contact with complainant?
Negative. The police are sworn tonight. They finally stopped and they lost visual. Was not in the company.
Okay, sí, so yeah, still on it.
No, just recently had here. I'm just trying to that. You pulled up to his neighbor. You left the 329. On the 329, you pulled up to his neighbor. The powerful. That might be that.
Okay, Mr. 1918.
Can I use this in the meantime?
Okay.
And they bring you the water right now, okay?
Thank you.
We're going to close this, okay?
It's a black male or something like that.
Is somebody coming for me?
Yeah, he's coming right now.
please, God, please, God, just let me, my dog, please. God, Christian, you okay? I don't care what you're doing.
So I'm assuming she just sits there for a while until they come in and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to fast forward it to when they actually start interrogating her. I don't want to know what made her that mad that she had to stab him, though, like that many times. Like, that's just out of control. Honestly, that's out of control. She shouldn't have done that. Like, people these days just be ruining their lives over something stupid. Like, so now you're going to spend all these years in jail, in prison, because of one dumb decision. Like, people should really think before their actions and think before they speak. That's what my grandma and my mom always taught me, even though sometimes they don't do it. But they've always taught me to think and to think before my actions and think before I speak. So, yeah, she definitely should have thought about that before killing that man. She could have just left him and continued to do her modeling and never talked to him again. But no, she had to stab him. Now look at you. In interrogation, crime.
Is that what we're talking about? You asked me my birthday. Okay.
Are you currently living there?
Yes.
Yeah. The address is 3131 Northeast 7th Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what apartment was it?
2201.
2201. How long have you guys been living there?
Since the first or second week of January.
Cats are incredible. Fleas?
Yeah, the interrogation's kind of lagging a little, but that's usually what happens.
Okay. Oh, this year.
Mm-hmm.
2022.
Yeah, we moved here January this year together from Boston.
From Boston?
From Boston.
From Boston. Oh, okay. When did you guys come to Miami from Boston?
We visited last year in March, and we loved it. And we travel all the time together. We like the beach.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always wanted to live here. So.
I feel like she's crying
like
because she got
wanted
caught.
to move to London. I wanted to move here. And I said maybe we should start.
And no offense
Yeah,
to,
and
like,
then
I'm not trying to,
Okay.
bring the division of white versus black, but usually that's what happens whenever, like, a white person kills a black person. They automatically say it was in self-defense.
He's from the hospital.
Like, in my situation, like, in my situation,
Talking.
like, in my situation with my mom and the racist girl, she shot my mom because they got into an altercation, and the girl, she's racist, she couldn't fight, and she was getting her ass beat. And so when the cops came and she went into booking or whatever, she claimed self-defense. She claimed self-defense because she got her ass beat, and because she's the one that had the weapon. And it's always the person that can't fight, that always runs their mouth, the racist one that always carries the weapons. They always carry the weapons because they know they can't fight. They know that if they run their mouth, they have that weapon to back them up. And it's just pathetic, really. Like, how are you going to claim self-defense if you go over to someone else's house? I just don't get the whole self-defense claim. You know, it wasn't self-defense. You just a weak ass bitch.
And
That's
with
just
the
my
scene and
and that's
what's
exactly what
the
she's doing,
update
claiming
that's
self-defense, even though
then
she's the
we'll
one
definitely get you an answer.
that hit him. So how is it self-defense if you hit him and stabbing him? That just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so this is an investigation into what do we call it, a domestic dispute, which occurred at 3131 Northeast 7th Avenue, apartment 2201. In reference to case number,
Yeah, sorry. It's going to be 22-0403-00-23743.
the City of Miami Police incident number. Okay. This statement is being taken in the City of Miami Police Department, the investigation office, which is located at 400 Northwest 2nd Avenue, Miami-Dade County, Florida. Okay. Okay. You raise your hand, your right hand. Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can put your hand down. Real quick, have you taken any alcohol or medication or narcotics today?
No.
No.
So I have just like medicine, but nothing that was mind altering.
Oh, okay. Like what?
I actually don't know what it's called. It's new medication. It's for
What's the medication for? If you don't mind me asking. What is your level of education? Was it last grade or did you graduate?
from college.
From college? Okay. What college was that?
ACC and Santa Monica Community College.
Okay. How long of school did you do there? Approximately.
It's like at each one, well, ACC about a year and a half, I think. Santa Monica like a semester or two.
Okay.
That was never for me.
Okay. Do you have you been diagnosed with any mental disability or anything like that? No? Okay.
Hey, Dr. Drew, my wife Susan here. We want to show you something.
I feel like they're about to try to do that, be like, oh, well, she has a mental illness, that's why. No, negative.
All right, I'm going to move over to this one.
This is a 4-hour interrogation, so it goes on and on about her like laying in the room and just, you know, chilling and
you have the right to talk to a
all
lawyer
that other stuff.
for advice before we ask any questions. You have the right to have a lawyer with you during questioning. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer,
look how she's like not even caring. But you all can watch the rest of the interrogation over on True Crime Network, and it's the police interrogates OnlyFans model Courtney Clenney after boyfriend's death. This is the full video, so you all can go on there and watch the rest of the video if you would like to, but we're not going to because I want to get to the court cases and stuff. So these are just like a few of the court cases that came up. This one is 12 minutes long. It's the Florida versus Clenney status hearing tomorrow. Well, this one is, appear in court for a status hearing. So I'm going to subscribe to that Court TV because I like Court TV and I'm going to like it. So
some very special guests joining us this morning. Courtney Clenney's defense team, attorneys Frank Prieto and Sabrina Puglisi, joining us this morning from Florida. Welcome to you both. Very nice to see you. And this is a tough case. I think we can all acknowledge this is one of those tragic cases that nobody wins. No matter what the outcome is, nobody has won. Lives are changed forever. And you both are very seasoned.
I don't think this is a win-lose, situation. I mean, this is a loss because a man lost his life. Like, I don't get what she's saying. This is not a winning of. She shouldn't win. She murdered someone. She took a life because of her anger. Because of I don't know what was going on in that woman's head, but she was the aggressor. And I will show you the videos of them like leading up to that because it's all caught on camera. So I'm going to show you all that.
And trial attorneys. So tackling this one, you're certainly up for the task. I know that. Let's start with tomorrow, if we can, please, because so many of our viewers are wondering what's happening. Is this one going to go to trial? What can you tell us about tomorrow's hearing, please?
Sure, Julie. First off, Sabrina and I thank you for having us on the show this morning. What's coming up is just a status hearing again. I can tell you there's not much as far as court action will take place, but it's merely a status conference where we'll let the judge know kind of a timeline of when we expect to be ready for trial. You can expect to hear that we anticipate being ready either by the end of this year or the first quarter of next year. I think that that's a realistic timeline. We've been taking depositions, conducting discovery, and mounting a vigorous defense for Courtney.
I know that you are. I know the last time we had you both on the show, you were examining pieces of evidence, and we talked about the elevator video, that video that has nearly gone viral. And you had said, from your perspective, after getting some facts, you believe it's helpful to your client because you said what you can't tell from the video is that she's trying to stop him from going up, that's the only way up through there, and he has the key in hand. Is there anything else like this that you might have received that you believe is going to be helpful to Courtney's defense?
Yeah, and Julie, thank you for having us. And I just want to point out, we absolutely will be going to trial in this case. There's not even a question. You know, Courtney's innocent, and we will have our day in court, or she will have her day in court.
Courtney's not innocent.
What we think that elevator video and this other evidence that we are reviewing and that we found, everything really points to what we've always said, what she has always said, which is that this was self-defense, that she was a victim of domestic violence. We see that through numerous interviews that the police have done. They've interviewed neighbors.
I hate it that they're saying self-defense. Like, they did interview neighbors, they did interview friends, and she has always been the aggressor. So I don't know why her attorney is lying on camera, saying that, oh, we've interviewed so and so and so and so, and they always said he's the aggressor. No, they've always said she's been the aggressor.
Everyone they've interviewed has always spoken about Courtney as a victim. For example, the security guard from Las Vegas. For example, the security guard that heard her in her apartment crying, saying, "You just hit me." You know, I'll let Frank tell you about the other neighbor that was interviewed by police.
Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, Julie.
So when the police officer or the security guard heard her say, "Oh, well, you just hit me," but that proves nothing. That proves absolutely nothing. What if she hit him first and she kept hitting him, so he hit her back to stop her? This is what I'm trying to say. Like, they don't have evidence that he was beating on this woman, that she was being abused by him. They have no evidence of it because he doesn't seem like that type of guy, first of all. Second of all, we don't know what happened behind closed doors, but other people has seen her be the aggressor. They actually seen her be the aggressive, not heard him hitting her back. So they actually seen her hitting him. So I don't know what defense they have.
If I may, there is police. This is not the defense, you know, figuring out some kind of anonymous tipster here. This is police body cam by the city of Miami of one of the officers responding to the building that day when a neighbor, unsolicited from across the way, comes over to explain, "Listen, my girlfriend told me I have to come speak to you." It's all on camera. He says, "The other day, this gentleman," meaning Obumseli, "was viciously attacking Courtney. They saw it from their balcony. They felt they needed to get involved." And that is a critical piece of evidence that Mr. Obumseli, although the family would like to paint him as a docile individual, a peaceful man. That is absurd. He was an abuser, and he was an animal.
I know that both
I disagree.
sides in this case have things that are helpful to the respective positions and things that are harmful. And I'm sure there's probably been a lot of back and forth in trying to exclude certain things that you just don't want the jury to hear. We have a clip.
Like, I'm not trying to say anything, you know, dating outside your race and things, but it seems to happen that whenever a white woman dates a black man and there's an altercation between them, there's always like the black man going to jail because of the white woman crying for help. You know, it's always like that type of case. And it's getting really old, you know, like the whole black-white thing. Like, black people, we've always been seen as aggressive, as the aggressive ones, as the ones who white people are scared of. You know, when I had got into an altercation with the white woman, they automatically assumed that I was the aggressive one, but she was the aggressive one. So when the cops came to the altercation between me and the girl, they said I had more scratches on my face because, yeah, she scratched me. And they said I could file charges against her, but she came onto the property that she wasn't even living at to attack us, to call us all out our names. She's racist. They're racist as fuck. So of course they would cry self-defense and all these other claims. You know, that's what that's what the racist people do. They always cry self-defense whenever things don't go their way or whenever they're getting their ass beat. So,
of one of those things, perhaps one of the worst pieces of evidence. This is at a previous incident where your client, Courtney Clenney, was recorded screaming, appearing quite out of control, and called Christian Obumseli the N-word. Let's take a listen to the clip, and then on the other side, we'll talk about how this may or may not affect your defense.
That's how it always goes that's how it always goes in interracial relationships. Like, whenever you get into an altercation, like, I date white boys. All my family knows I date white boys. And whenever there's always been an altercation, that word has always come up. Always come up. In every single incident. And that's what I'm saying. Like, these people claim they're not racist just because they date us. They racist. They are racist as fuck. I'm telling you, they are racist. I dated a white guy that lives in Indiana, and his parents, they hid their valuables from me because I guess they thought I was gonna steal from them. The mother told me that black people have big lips, big noses, they always steal. That's exactly what his mom said to me. Then his dad said that he didn't want us to be married because it would ruin his chances of having redheaded grandchildren. And I was like, wow, this family is racist. They are so racist. So he ended up marrying a white woman, and their grandchildren still doesn't have red hair. But anyway, I bet you they're just happy that they're, you know, white and not mixed. But yeah, they're racist. They may say that they're okay with black people and okay with, you know, their children dating black people, but a lot of them are not. A lot of them will say off the wall racist stuff. And then if they get into an altercation, that N-word is definitely going to come out. Oh, you're acting like a, you know, I've heard it before. And I've even heard it from like cousins who date white people. Like, their girlfriends has even called them the N-word. So, yeah.
Don't touch me! What is going on? Like, what are you gonna get this mad at me when I'm apologizing to you? No, Christian. Like, you're thinking I'm doing it on purpose? Drop your high pitch. Okay, I'm not doing it on purpose. You trust the alright. You know well the right thing to do is to tell me. Yes, and I am so sorry. So shut up and let me slap you. Give me my phone. You have your phone. I don't have it anymore. Find it and charge it. What?
Oh, and when she says, not only, calling him the N-word, but this was that same clip where she says, shut up and let me slap you. If the jury hears that, what happens?
Look, there's going to be back and forth on both sides, as you said. And in any trial, what's important is the fact that at a trial, the truth should come out, right? So there should be all of the evidence. But what you're only seeing there is a snapshot, right? And yes, those are hurtful words. Nobody should say that. And, that's not great. But at the end of the day, that doesn't tell you whether he attacked her on the date of this incident. It doesn't talk about how he choked her and threw her to the ground and how she told him to stay away from her, and he still charged at her and she had to defend herself. So, I think the point what we would try to say is people need to just wait. They need to hear all the evidence because it will become clear that really she is the victim.
We know this relationship.
Julie, if I could just add to that.
Sure. Go ahead, Frank.
Sure. Florida law is very clear. There's a statute about surreptitious recordings. Florida's a two-party state. Any kind of secretive recordings, the statute's very clear, should not be coming into evidence. So clearly, if the judge is following the law here, and I think she will, Judge Cruz is very intelligent, she'll be keeping this out of evidence for the jury. But again, to echo what Sabrina said, it's an ugly conversation, but what you don't see is that he gaslights her before these conversations. That was his MO. And in a letter written to Courtney, he acknowledges his abuse by gaslighting her. That will all come out in trial.
This is really interesting. And, and I'm certainly reserving any judgments until I see all of the evidence. But I do have a lot of interest in my off time in domestic violence cases. I do a lot to volunteer in the prevention movement. And I'm curious, I've thought a lot about this and how this is a tough case you both have. Recordings like that, it leaves such a bad taste in your mouth, and it's so offensive and harmful. I'm curious, do you plan on using domestic violence experts as part of your defense here to show exactly what you were just saying, Frank? If there was gaslighting, are you going to try to establish it that way?
Absolutely. We are already looking into experts. There will be experts on the defense side. They will be coming down the line in a few months. We'll be rolling them out and filing our witness list. But absolutely, it is so common, as you know, Julie, being involved in domestic violence, how so many abusers, they manipulate the victims in a way, not just physically, but emotionally as well. And so often those victims, they protect their abusers. And that's exactly what we have here. All the time when the police would be called, she would say, no, everything's fine, everything's fine. It wasn't until a couple of days before this incident, she had the bravery to come forward and ask for help.
Did she have a restraining order in place?
Unfortunately, no, because this happened.
No. Okay. One of the things that I think is going to be very difficult for you all to contend with, I'm certain that you would, acknowledge and agree, is that there was a previous stabbing incident. She stabbed him in the leg. Is that coming into evidence?
So.
Julie, when the evidence is examined, especially the medical examiner's report, there's no evidence of any stab wound on his legs documented. There's no evidence other than some text messages. We believe that that's not true. It's not true. And any other incidents, again, this will come out, but we have significant evidence about the manipulation and lies about that Christian perpetrated on Courtney.
And what's interesting about that, Julie, also is that when you see those text messages, right, look afterwards, you'll see her responses. Not one time does she say, yes, I'm sorry, I did that to you. In fact, the one where he claims she cut him in the face with a knife, she says to him, yeah, you tell the hospital what happened and I'll tell them what really happened. And so you have to ask yourself, what does that mean? Why would she say that if she was the one who actually cut him? So there's more to this than, you know, what just meets the eye.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, I think everybody wants to know whether she's going to testify. And I know you both are limited on what you can share, but sometimes, I'm sure you both have had this situation where a client is intent on testifying, no matter what. Anything you can share with us regarding whether we'll hear her tell her story when it does come time for trial?
Well, Julie, I'll let Sabrina follow up after. I just tell you that obviously, as a trial strategy, whether your client testifies or not is kind of it's a game time decision. Mm-hmm. If the case is going great, we probably don't need to put her on. We have her statement, which is consistent throughout. Okay. We have body worn.
Personally, I think that she's going to get away with it because she's a white woman. Like, we know how that goes in the history of the court system. That's how it goes. When a white person kills a black person, it always, oh, they only get 10 years. Oh, they only get 20 years. Oh, they only get this because self-defense, blah, blah, blah. That's how it always goes in the court system. Like, unless you really, really fight to prove that, this person is a racist, this person is the abuser, this person is the manipulative one, this person is the gaslight one, the one that's gaslighting, then she's going to get off. Like, unless they can prove that she was the aggressor. And I feel like they can prove it, but I feel like it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Camera footage of her speaking to the police from the minute they showed up, explaining what happened that evening.
Okay, so game time decision on that one, and we understand, we respect that. One last question for you, please, before I have so many, but while we have you, I think one of the most damaging pieces of evidence is the knife wound and the way in which it entered. We know the state of Florida really kind of hung its hat on that. There was the big press conference announcement about her charging some months later after the incident, saying that there's no way it could have happened the way she said it happened, saying that she threw it and they said it was done in a downward motion. Curious if you've explored this with any of your own medical experts.
Julie, we have, and
Julie, I'll let Sabrina touch on that, but you can rest assured that this is being addressed, has been addressed. I'll let Sabrina follow up on that one.
Yeah, go ahead, Sabrina. Yeah.
Thanks, Julie. We're confident. We're confident that the evidence supports Courtney's statement about the knife being thrown because she was trying to protect herself. And you know what? We'll be happy to come back on and talk to you about it as soon as we're able to present that evidence.
Yeah, no, please do. Open invitation to you both. I know you have a lot to work on in terms of preparation for this case, tomorrow's hearing, but thank you for making time for us here at Court TV. Frank Prieto, Sabrina Puglisi, thank you kindly. Take good care.
Recordings just got back.
All I'm going to say is that her lawyers are definitely going to fight for her, but I hope that the truth does come out and this woman goes to jail for a long, long time, because she's a murderer. She's a murderer, a racist too at that. Because if you use the N-word in any kind of incident, trying to downgrade someone, especially knowing that that word is very offensive to black people, she's definitely racist. I don't give a shit if she does date black men. She's racist. So
what do you want to say?
I want to be like, I'm trying to be like exonerated, I guess, of like anything wrong.
Newly released body camera video shows OnlyFans model Courtney Clenney asking to be exonerated just days before her boyfriend was stabbed in their Miami condo.
I feel like I am being
Only 2 days after Clenney broke down crying in front of officers, she called 911.
My boyfriend is dying of a stab. Ma'am, what is the address?
The emergency call came in on April 3rd when Clenney reported her boyfriend, Christian Obumseli, had been stabbed.
If you have a stab wound to his shoulder, sit down. What do you mean he has a stab wound on his shoulder, ma'am? Yeah, he's bleeding from his shoulder.
In the background of the call, Obumseli can be heard saying he can't feel his arm and believes he's going to die.
I can't feel my arm. 3101. I can't feel my arm.
Later, Clenney can be heard apologizing to Obumseli
Baby, I'm so sorry. Baby.
and praying for help. After that, the call drops.
Is he awake? Hello?
Obumseli later died as a result of his injuries. Law and Crime Network first brought you the story when disturbing security camera footage appeared to show Clenney getting physical with Obumseli. In August, she was charged with second-degree murder for Obumseli's death.
I'm not gonna lie, like, he probably did get an altercation with her. Like, they probably did get into a physical fight. I'm not gonna lie, because sometimes, you know, people get out of hand, but as a result, I don't think anyone should have picked up any weapons or like punched someone to knock them out. You know, like, I don't think that he got that physical with her to where she had to defend herself by using a knife and stabbing him that many times. Like, I'm gonna look up how many times she stabbed him, because if it's a multiple stabs, then something's not right. So let me look it up. Courtney. Okay. Stabbed boyfriend. How many times? If it was just one stab, oh yeah. Died of a single stab wound. So it's only one in the upper chest. So she stabbed him like right here. Right here or right here. One of the two. Which, I don't know. This was tricky, because if it was self-defense, then she could have just stabbed him in the arm or stabbed him in the leg, or, you know, not in a, you know, chest area where the heart is, you know, like, I don't know. I mean, being stabbed in the arm, it could probably kill you too as well. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if she tells the truth.
Just 2 days before Obumseli was stabbed, Clenney told officers she wanted a restraining order against him.
And I want him, okay, the police are here. I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli.
Body camera video shows a building employee speaking with officers, saying he called police after an altercation between the couple.
The boyfriend actually came after her and Paul was walking towards there. And then I just said, you know, enough is enough. Police need to be called. She said she don't want police to be called. But when it's in a common area, something happened like that, my safety is the residents first.
Through tears, Clenney then explains what led up to the fight.
I stayed in my apartment all day. I didn't take my dogs out for like 8 hours because I was afraid that when I came down here, I was going to be down. And when I did come down, I walked my dogs, and he was telling me he wouldn't leave me alone. I said, please just walk my dogs in peace. We're not together.
Courtney, does he have any property in your apartment?
Yes, so much. Can I with respect, can I please? I just like, I just feel like I'm not being heard.
Clenney continues to ask officers to speak and whether they are actually listening to her.
What else do you
I was told I was going to get a chance to speak.
Go ahead, Courtney. What's going on?
Are you gonna listen?
We're listening. Go ahead.
Say something wrong.
Clenney tells officers she wants to be exonerated and hopes to file a restraining order before Obumseli can.
All right. So what do you want to say?
I want to be like, I want to be like exonerated, I guess, of like anything wrong. And I want him, okay, the police are here. I want a restraining order against Christian Obumseli.
We don't issue those.
Because, no, I'm serious.
Courts.
Can I do that?
You have to go to court. You have to go to
Okay, but
downtown.
how can I make myself first? Because I know him and he would do it. How can I make myself first?
Clenney also alludes to an argument in the elevator, saying she did not hit Obumseli.
I had a lot of opportunities to call y'all, and I did not. So when he was following me around this dog park, I said, there is no, your time is up. Like, that's it. And then all of a sudden, like he followed me to the elevator, and I said, "Don't follow me." This guy said, "I shoved her." When I was upstairs, when they showed up my door, I said, "I shoved him." I said, "Show me the video." Like, I really got angry because that did not happen.
Through the conversation with officers, Clenney remains on the phone with her father.
So your question is, I need a restraining order against him.
Okay, do you hear all this?
Listen.
Okay, they're listening.
Who's on the phone with you?
Just my dad.
Okay.
In the end, Clenney calls herself the victim and asks to be let back into her apartment.
You understand? Your questions are making much of an...
I am. Right now, like, I have not always been a victim, but like right now, I'm a freaking victim in the situation. I'm scared to go down here to walk my dogs. I just walked in and I told him, "You don't have a chance." And now all of a sudden, this is all happening.
What's his name?
Christian Obumseli.
Christian?
Please, just like don't get me kicked out of my own apartment.
Building employees told officers this was not the first time police were called on the couple, saying they were being evicted from the condo. Clenney maintains she stabbed Obumseli out of self-defense. Her attorney says the body camera video shows she was seeking help from a, quote, abusive and violent relationship, but that she was failed by the system. Prosecutors say the pair were involved in a combative relationship, but that Obumseli was the victim of domestic abuse. For the latest developments in this case and all things true crime, stay with Long Crime Network. I'm Sierra Gillespie.
I don't know, y'all. Like, I really don't know. I feel like she was the aggressor. She was the abusive one. She's the one that did all this stuff. She seeks to limit explicit evidence during hearings. So she doesn't want all of the things that she's been doing in the hearing. No, negative. I feel like here's her being denied bond denied.
Turning now to the OnlyFans model accused of stabbing her boyfriend to death. Back in the courtroom today, a judge denying Courtney Clenney's release on bond while she awaits trial.
NBC6's Shanae Amara is joining us live from court. Shanae, what have they said so far?
Yeah, you know, that ruling came down just minutes ago, and a lot of back and forth inside the courtroom from the defense team as the judge denied allowing release or allowing bond for Courtney Clenney as she awaits that murder trial. But let's go to some video because I want to give you a visual look at exactly what happened inside the courtroom. Now, a big issue here for the judge, whether there is a flight risk for that OnlyFans model accused of murdering her boyfriend. The judge ultimately siding with prosecutors denying her release as she awaits trial for the killing of Christian Obumseli. Clenney came out just before 11 this morning, cuffed in her red jumpsuit. She sat and spoke with attorneys ahead of the hearing, wiping back tears as families on both sides, her family and the Obumselis, waited in the gallery for the hearing to begin. The judge cited concerns, including the possibility of a flight risk in her denial of bond, which Clenney's defense objected to, arguing that she doesn't have the money to be a flight risk. But on the other side, the family attorney representing the Obumseli says they are satisfied by this ruling.
The evidence was clear that she has no money left in her bank accounts. Part of it was used to purchase a home, which is not a liquid asset. Measures could be taken to secure that property with a bond. Her OnlyFans contract was canceled immediately back in April. She does not have the ability to make these monies, as the state alleged, and as the judge unfortunately adopted their view. We think that's incorrect.
So the family flew in for this decision. They are very grateful, and their faith in this system has been renewed. And at this point, we look forward to the ultimate justice, is when the jury of her peers find her guilty.
Now, Clenney, the former OnlyFans model, her team went on to maintain that they believe that she was a victim of domestic violence. They also say this judge's ruling prevents her from getting the necessary treatment for PTSD that she needs. On the other side, the Obumseli's attorney says that he was the one who was the victim. The next court date is February 6th. For now, reporting live, Shanae Amara, NBC6 News.
Turning now to the OnlyFans model accused.
I don't know. I feel like they're trying to play the victim card, obviously. but they're trying to play the victim card because she was the one that was aggressive. She was the one that was abusive. Anyway, here is OnlyFans model Courtney seeks to limit explicit evidence during hearing. So this means, let's see, OnlyFans lawyers asked the judge to limit the release of scandalous and sexual explicit evidence to the public during the evident hearing on Tuesday. So I personally don't think they should do that, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay. You got an 85. Yeah.
No, that's an amended.
Yeah, for us, we still wait out.
Remember, the cameras are on you 24/7 right now. That's it. The cameras are on you 24/7, so just be mindful of that. Okay, and look up where I'm looking at right now. Be careful what you say. So what you say? Okay.
I don't know. I feel like they're going to give her like 25 years time served, you know, like 25 years out with the behavior. So I feel like she's going to be out in like 5 or 10 years. And then she's going to go back to her Instagram or her OnlyFans modeling nude. And people are going to be supporting her because, oh, she killed a black man, you know? No, negative. I don't know. I feel like it might be longer than 25 years. You can't really hear the judge in that video, but hopefully something does come out of it to where she's not getting away with murder, in my opinion. So this one's also Court TV, and Courtney incoming motion to suppress audio recordings. And I think we already listened to that. What I want to know is, okay, there's new evidence released.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight on Closing Arguments. Great to have you here. Now, anytime I talk about this story of this young couple, to me, it is Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, the murder trial. Okay? Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, dysfunctional, right? Absolutely dysfunctional. This one is about love to a certain extent. It's about sex to a big extent. And it's about murder. That's what makes it a little different than the Johnny Depp case. So actually a lot different. Thank goodness in that case, no one, took it a step further in the violence in that relationship. But it happened with this young couple. And we begin, they were in a real relationship. They, were together in Texas and decided to move to Florida. They're young, they've got some money, and they seem to actually, to some extent, have feelings towards one another. It's so hard for me to put it in those terms because we know the ending here. But they were together. They took trips together. They lived together. But like many people, there were problems. Now, something else that they did together, a little different than Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, they met when they were making a movie. These two, in their relationship, made some porn together. Now, it was pay-per-view type of pornography that she posted on her OnlyFans site, along with other videos where she's by herself. But that's how they made millions of dollars millions of dollars. That is a big part of their relationship, which turned into their lifestyle. You know, living a very lavish lifestyle, being so young as both of them were. Now, the bottom line here is we know that Courtney stabbed Christian. We know that. Okay, that's not going to be disputed at trial. I mean, it's very, very clear. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is, well, what was it? What will the jury determine it was? Was this self-defense? Was this murder? Was this manslaughter? It's a huge question, and there's a big difference between all three of them. Big, big difference. Murder, you're locked up. You're going away. You're not getting out. Manslaughter, you're going to do time, but you'll get out. Self-defense, you're going home at the end of the trial. So that's what is at stake here. But the bottom line is she did stab him. She did kill him.
Yeah, she
Now,
murdered him.
let me give you a few more of the details of this case. Take a listen. A social media sensation, now a suspected killer. 26-year-old Courtney Taylor Clenney is charged with second-degree murder in the death of her 27-year-old boyfriend, Christian Obumseli.
The chief medical examiner of Miami-Dade County determined that Christian's cause of death was a stab to the chest. Christian was stabbed as the knife punctured the subclavian artery in his right chest.
It all happened following a fight at the couple's luxury apartment in Miami's upscale Edgewater neighborhood. And prosecutors say fights were common in this volatile relationship.
Evidence gathered during the investigation of Christian's death showed that since November of 2020, he and the defendant, Clenney, had been involved in an extremely tempestuous and combative relationship.
The prosecutor's office would later release text messages where Obumseli confronts Clenney for slashing him with a knife more than once. They also released secret audio recordings taken by the victim.
Don't touch me! What is going on? What are you gonna get this mad at me when I'm apologizing to you? No, Christian. Like you're thinking I'm doing it on Drop your high pitch. Okay, I'm not doing it on purpose.
You just saw her. You know well, the right thing to do is to tell me.
Yes, and I am so sorry.
So shut up and let me slap you.
Officials say their apartment building management received so many complaints about their loud fights, they came close to being evicted. Building cameras captured this fight in February, just weeks before Obumseli was killed. Clenney's attorney notes that the elevator video does not depict the events leading up to the altercation, and in a statement said Obumseli was the abuser, the worst kind of abuser. He would manipulate and abuse Courtney in private when he thought nobody was around. Her attorney claims she was acting in self-defense after Obumseli attacked her. In his statement to Court TV, Frank Prieto states, "It is an absolute injustice to charge a victim of domestic violence and human trafficking with a crime." He went on to say, "We will vigorously defend Courtney and clear her of this unfounded and baseless charge." This body cam footage was taken the day before the stabbing.
Right now, like, I have not always been a victim, but like right now, I'm a freaking victim in the situation.
Yeah, we're not gonna watch the rest of this because we already know what's going on with that part. So I'm gonna fast forward it to another video.
Is an internet social media personality and influencer under the name of Courtney Taylor.
Now Clenney is finding that her fame has a downside.
Yeah, you should go. Because you just killed your boyfriend. Yeah, you did.
So Courtney Clenney in court today. She showed up, her lawyer's there, the prosecutor's there. They're having what's called an Arthur hearing. Ultimately, it will be about whether or not she gets out on bond before this trial, because right now she is locked up. Let me show you a little piece of some of the testimony from the detective from the Miami Police Department as he describes what she described happening. Courtney, take a listen.
She told me that
She was at the apartment. The victim had went down to go to Subways. When he went to Subways, they began to message each other, and through text messages, they got into an argument over sharing each other's location. He then decides to come back to the apartment. Shortly after he comes back to the apartment, another argument ensues. At that point, the defendant says that the victim grabbed her by the neck, slammed her against the wall. She was able to break free. Then she was gonna call her mother, and he didn't want that to happen, so he grabbed her and put her onto the ground. She wasn't able to explain how exactly that happened. After that, she was able to break free once again, at which point she goes to the kitchen. She grabs on a knife, and then she states that the victim ran towards her, and that's when she flung the knife or threw it, and it hit him in the shoulder.
Wow. All right. Let's break some of this down, get some more details. Joining me now, who has been breaking a lot of news on this case, a reporter with Miami Herald, David Ovalle is back with us. David, great to see you. Always the festive shirt, always makes me think we're down in South Florida. So, David, let me start here with the argument. Is it all about simple jealousy like we see in so many other relationships where, hey, you're not sharing your location with me, what are you up to?
I think certainly that's a reoccurring theme in a lot of these arguments. I mean, certainly we heard in one of the recordings earlier that was released from a few months previous, I think Courtney had gotten mad at Christian over him, speaking to one of her friends that he ran into out on the street and not telling her, right? But I think it goes much beyond that. I think it's just a toxic relationship where that would devolve into fights for every little thing. We all know people who have been in relationships like that, but this ends up being sort of next level toxicity.
And we've seen that, we've heard that, we know how it ends, but why were they together? Was there any indication on why they remained together? Because I've spoken to neighbors from Texas. They were fighting in Texas, yet they're still together. Any indication? Have you been able to figure that out through your investigation?
I think when you read their text message strings, it's a lot of sort of a dependence, whether it's emotional and maybe in Christian's case, financial dependence on each other. So, they profess to not like each other anymore, that it's over, don't talk to me anymore, don't call me anymore, particularly in Courtney's case. And then it's, something bad happens, the blow up happens, and then it's the same pattern of, I'm sorry, you don't deserve that, we can make this work. So I think oftentimes, and you see this in a lot of domestic violence relationships where they're sort of clinging to that initial phase of what it was like when they first got together. So you see this even in their text messages where they're sort of hearkening back to, what it was like, sort of like the good times and just ignoring all the bad toxic things that are happening.
And again, I'll get right back to it. I mean, we all experienced that watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. And those are two people with millions of dollars, access to anyone they want to be with in the world, yet there was something that was there for them. I guess the same was happening here. I want to take a listen to more of the detective's testimony from today's hearing because there's a big issue about some potential bruises that were on the body of Courtney Clenney. Let's take a listen.
The bruising on her arms, were you able to see them in the Instagram live video?
Yes.
And again, that video was posted before this murder occurred.
Correct.
So those bruises were before the murder occurred.
Yes.
Let's talk about the legs. You saw bruising on her legs in the earlier posted video of her death.
Yes.
In that video, are those the same bruises you saw later that day?
Yes.
So trying to put a timeline together here, David, my understanding is that there's an Instagram video live that she posts before the stabbing, but the same day, and there are bruises on her body at that point that are then part of I think, pictures that the defense has brought forth showing that she was somehow a victim that day.
I mean, like 2 bruises. But anyway, what I'm going to say is that I don't condone violence to anyone, but it seems like they both were train wrecks. Like, seems like he was abusive and she was abusive. So it seems like it was a two-party kind of thing. Like, she was abusive to him, he was abusive to her. It just seems like they both were abusive, they both were toxic, they both were walking red flags. And it just seems like she took it too far. Like, she took the abuse too far and he took it too far and she ended up killing him, basically. But all I'm going to say is she shouldn't get away with murder. In my opinion, she shouldn't get away with murder. And she should have to serve time for what she did. That's all I'm going to say on that. And hopefully we come down, we get to, hopefully she doesn't get out of it. So I'm trying to find out, like, this case is fairly new, so there definitely be a part 2, because I'm not seeing anything else to where they are saying, oh, she's in there for life, oh, she's this, that, and the other, you know. So we'll see what happens more on this case throughout the years. Hopefully throughout, like, mid this year. What is mid this year? Hopefully, like, September, we get to hear some news on more about this case. So I hope you all continue to listen to True Crime Stories. I'm your host, Brooke Michelle, and see you next time. Bye.